A community in Yardley spent a good deal of the afternoon on lockdown. A probation check led to a standoff. Officers called for help, but when the police chief answered, he was shot by the suspect. Action News reporter Dan Cuellar was the only reporter there as that suspect was arraigned tonight in Ben Salem.
The man brought here for his arraignment was described in an affidavit of probable cause as a person with a history of mental illness and described by a prosecutor as one who poses a significant threat to the community. We were here exclusively as he was brought in. This was 24-year-old Colin Petroziello as he was brought in for his arraignment before Magisterial Court Judge Joseph Falcone. What do you got to say? The guy officials say shot a police chief had nothing to say as he was led in before the judge. This only hours after a SWAT team busted through the door of his condominium at the Yardley Commons in Yardley and used a loud and bright flashbang to disorient him.
From what I understand, he was not conscious at the time that we breached the door.
It was 11 in the morning that a probation officer had gone to the location to check on Petroziello, but the officer soon had to call Yardley police for assistance. Officials say it's not unusual for Chief Joe Kelly to respond to calls personally because it's such a small department.
Police Chief Joseph Kelly knew of the risks, but he took them anyway when he assisted a fellow officer.
Unfortunately, the chief got caught up in an intense situation. He tells investigators as they stood in the door knocking, they could see through the door glass Petroziello laying in a prone position at the top of the steps, aiming a shotgun at them just before he fired a shotgun blast, striking the chief.
And he held up his hand in a defense mechanism and ducked, so he got hit in the hand and hit in the ear.
Chief Kelly was rushed to St. Mary Medical Center. This is a SWAT team surrounded the condominium complex to negotiate the suspect's surrender. Residents were told to shelter in place. Finally, late in the afternoon, the standoff ended.
We now have our suspect in custody.
Suspect Petroziello has been remanded to the Bucks County Correctional Facility without bail to await his preliminary hearing. And as for Chief Kelly, we're told he won't go home tonight, but he will go home to his family.
The luckiest person today is Chief Joseph Kelly.
Kelly, who has been Yardley chief since 2015, was an officer across the river in New Jersey for decades and then later in Yardley. Meanwhile, the suspect has been charged with attempted murder of a police officer and related offenses. In Ben Salem, Bucks County, I'm Dan Cuellar, Channel 6 Action News.